Europa-Park has won Best Theme Park in the World 10 times, so I was expecting something spectacular. On my recent visit, I went on as many rides as I possibly could. There are some that definitely blew me away, but there's also some that left me scratching my head. Let's break it down. Right, let's start with the headline attraction then, shall we? One of their newest coasters in the park, and that is Voltron Nevera. Now, this thing is something else. Visually, it is beautiful. Like, the theming in this park is pretty damn good. It's not perfect. There are some better parks out there, but it is up there. And the whole area around Croatia with Voltron is fantastic. The queue line, beautiful. Now, the ride system is interesting because, I mean, we're in Germany here, so you'd expect efficiency, and this thing is a masterpiece of efficiency. It's a constant conveyor belt of trains dispatching every, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds, something like that. It is just a people eater. It is going through a ridiculous number of people. I went on it 3 or 4 times. My first shot, I was very lucky to get front row, so I got a nice daytime POV. My second shot was also a front row, so I got a nighttime POV. And then I had a couple of shots on the sort of third row. I've had some wing seats, I've had some centre seats. Front row for me is where it's at. Just seeing the whole thing is fantastic. It's just an absolute masterpiece. That sort of bouncy bit when you're kind of just left the station, that beyond vertical launch, the inversions, the turntable, the spike, it's just brilliant. What's not so brilliant though, the seats. So I went on the outer seats a couple of times, and I felt that rattle that people talk about. Not only did I feel it, but I saw it in the POV that I watched back. You could see the camera bouncing around. It wasn't painful, but for a brand new coaster, you kind of expect it to be a bit smoother. The double up as well, that was just odd. Don't know why that was there, didn't do very much, but the rest of it is fantastic. So there's no surprises. We're going to start strong. Chuck this one in the keep pile. Another one of their big coasters is actually not made by Mack. So if you don't know, Europa-Park is owned and run by the Mack family, who also manufacture coasters. So by and large, this is kind of like their showroom. This is where they put their new rides in and go, look what we can do. But they do have a few attractions from other manufacturers. And this next one, Silver Star, is from B&M. Now, it's hyper coaster, giga coaster, mega coaster. It's a big coaster. Can't remember which categorization it is. And it's this sort of traditional coaster that you think of, right? It is just a bunch of airtime hills, turns round, comes back again. But I really enjoyed it. I've been on a couple of these now, and I've had sort of mixed experiences. I like Shambhala, wasn't overly impressed with Apollo's Chariot, and there was another one at Six Flags that I didn't like. This one though, I thoroughly enjoyed. Went on it with Carly. She usually does coasters once, and if she really likes it, she'll go on it again and again. I sat in the middle so I could get the POV, front row again. She was on the outside, and she doesn't like lift hills, so she was terrified. I thoroughly enjoyed it though, and it's another one I'm going to keep. Next coaster though, slightly different. Now this is Euro-mir, and it's in the Russian section. Supposed to be sort of space themed and stuff. From the outside, certainly when I was there a couple of weeks ago, it was sort of the winter event, so Hallowinter they call it. And it had all the lights on, and it was beautiful at night. Really, really spectacular. Sort of those big sort of mirrored columns that the track goes around. The ride itself though, it's weird. Like, there's 2 coasters in this park that have the most bizarre lift hill. This is one of them. It's this kind of spiral lift hill. There's like a big center column that's rotating and basically dragging you up this spiral. It's got a big rocket in that sort of center column when you get close to the top. I don't think I had the music that everybody talks about. People always go on about the music on Euro-mir. There was music, but somebody also said in my video, I don't think that I had the right audio. Maybe they change it seasonally, not sure. Nonetheless, once you've done that kind of lift hill and you get outside, it's a spinning coaster-ish. Like, there's bits of it where you are static, you're facing along the track, there's bits of it where it free spins, and then there's other bits where it locks you again and you're just static. So you start kind of static. Beautiful views, absolutely beautiful views up there. Carly wasn't a fan, she was petrified of hanging off the edge of a building. Stunning, really beautiful park, and you can see it all from up there. I did it a couple of times, day and night, and one of the times when it locked I was facing forwards, great, see where you're going. Another time I was facing backwards. The forces when you're going backwards are significantly, or they feel significantly stronger than when you're going forwards. It's an okay coaster, it's not my favourite. The park has already said it's been removed and replaced, so I wouldn't have scrapped it necessarily, but I would have put it in take it or leave it. Right, let's move on to a sort of more family coaster. It comes in two versions actually. They're kind of runaway mine train sort of thing, Alpine Express or Alpine Express. You can do this normally, you can do this VR. Now, here's the thing. This attraction is reasonably new because they had a fire that burnt down the previous version. So I think it's mostly a rebuild of what was there. Again, beautiful theming, looks amazing. When I did the normal version of it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Typical mine train, 2 laps, happy days, great. You know, for a target audience, perfect. So that one, we're gonna keep. I then went on it again to do the VR experience. And here's the thing, right? It's quite, the way they've done the VR is kinda good. They only take up the last couple of rows of the train, so it doesn't impact operations in any way. It's an upcharge of like €4, you go up, and you can select from about 7 different movies, if you will. Carly chose the dinosaur one, and I thought I'll do the same. But here's the thing though, for a reasonably new attraction, the graphics were terrible. Like, it was worse than a Super Nintendo. It was so basic. It just didn't do that. It just didn't do it for me at all. Also, Carly's didn't work at all. She was literally staring at the back of the seat, so she got a refund. The VR let me down. And that's going to be a bit of a recurring theme in this park. There's a lot of kind of screen-based stuff that I just don't think works, and it's not really Mac's strong point. So the VR version, I'd scrap it. Right, next up is an interesting ride because there's only a handful of these kicking around out there. It's a coaster, a powered coaster, a rotating coaster, a dark ride. Yeah, it's Arthur. So listen, it's brilliant. It's another one of those ones where the station's kind of like on a conveyor belt, so the trains are just going through, and then you get in it and it rotates. There's animatronics, there's onboard audio, there's that weird section with Snoop Dogg. If you've been on it, you know what I mean. Like, it's a family ride, there's expletives. Caught me off guard. I knew it was coming. I told Carly about it, and we both were like, what? So yeah, that's a little bit odd. Fantastic ride system. There's only 3 in existence and a 4th one being built right now. Would love one over here in the UK. But this one in question, I am going to chuck it in the keep pile. Right, next thing about this park is that it caters to everybody very, very well, right? If you look at the Disneys, Disney is basically family with not much in the thrill. Universal, thrill, not much for the families. This has everything for everybody. This has so many dark rides, water rides, big coasters, little coasters, everything. It is just very well catered. So we're going to go into the first dark ride here, and that is Atlantis Adventure. Now, it's in the Greek area. Almost walked past it. You could do that with tons of these dark rides. I definitely nearly missed it, and it only had a 1-minute queue every time I went past. So I went in. It's a little shorter ride. It's not the best one. It's okay. The theming's reasonable. The guns were a bit... So it's not one I'd be in a rush to do again. So for that reason, let's go and take it or leave it. Let's get on to the smaller coasters then, shall we? Because they do have one aimed at that younger audience. And I think it's another coaster that is not, or another ride, sorry, that's not manufactured by Mac themselves. This one is Ba Express, or Ba Express. It's in the Ireland area, and it's the most simple coaster. It is basically just a little loop, and that is it. You do 2 laps, maybe 3, can't remember. Yes, I did it for the shameless cred. No, I won't be going on it again. But I appreciate it for what it is. I say this in every video. There needs to be coasters for that small audience before they get to the family coasters, before they get up to the thrill coasters. So for that alone, it's getting kept. Right, back to the big boys then, shall we? And this one is Blue Fire. Now, I have compared this to Icon, mainly because it's the same sort of model, same trains, etc. Somebody pointed out to me that Icon is longer in track and duration, which I didn't believe, but I checked RCDB. They're right, it is. This one is great fun. It's a lot of fun. You kind of come out the station and go into this sort of pre-show section, some animatronics, some explosives, guys in lab coats, etc. And then it's like, uh-oh, and then boof, out you go. Not the most punchy launch, Mac aren't known for that, but still a lot of fun. And then you barely crest over this kind of first element, which I'm pretty sure I saw on socials that it actually valied there a couple of months back. When they had to rescue people. So didn't happen for us. I managed to make it around the course. A lot of fun, inversions, etc. Super smooth. I always say Mac have some of the most comfortable trains on the market. and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So let's go in the keep pile. On the other side though, there's a madhouse. Now, at first I thought this was going to be a Vekoma madhouse because, well, most of them are. Obviously, this is in their own park and they have their own model, so it was a Mack madhouse. I think it's possibly the first Mack madhouse I have done. And I won't be in a hurry to do any again because I wasn't that impressed with it. No pre-show. I struggled to find the thing first, so, you know, map told me to go one place, wasn't where the end. Took me to the exit, although I didn't know that. Did not take me to the entrance. Got in, no pre-show, straight on the ride. Don't think there is a pre-show. Like, I was trying to work out, is it just turned off because it's quiet, or don't think there is one. Straight on the gondola, and I could tell straight away it was different because the restraints were slightly different. It's more forceful than a Vekoma model, I will give it that, right? If you don't know how these things work, basically you're in the gondola and it sort of swings 15 degrees either way, and the room does the rest, right? The room rotates around you. This felt a lot more forceful, so I don't know if it swings to a steeper angle. It's also got these weird things in the seats that poke you in the back and poke you up the bum. But I wasn't a fan of those. They were just uncomfortable. So yeah, this for me, I do like a madhouse. I still think Hex is one of the best. This particular one, I'm chucking it in the scrap pile. Right, let's get back to the dark rides. They're Ghost Train. Now, I initially thought this was called Geisterschloss, because it says that outside, which is Ghost Train in German. Turns out it's not, it's Castello de Medici. Well, something like that, probably butchering the pronunciation. But it's basically their Ghost Train, and big dude outside and stuff. It was interesting. So I did the one, the Geisterschloss in Phantasialand, and it is very dated. There's a lot of people who like the nostalgia of that. I have no kind of history with that park, so for me it was just like, this looks really old and out of date. The one here in Europa wasn't as bad as that, but it definitely had that kind of cheesy old school vibe going on. So yeah, it's alright. Maybe do it again if it's got a small queue. I'll chuck it and take it or leave it. Right, there's a couple of water rides, and unfortunately when I was there, a number of them were closed for winter maintenance, but there were some of the smaller attractions I did get on. One of them was Elf Ride, and it's kind of like a boat ride and a dark ride. So it's largely outdoors, but there's a section that is indoors. And the outdoor bit, it's okay, there's not a huge amount to see. The indoor bit, on the other hand, very, very well themed, tons of animatronics, music, all that kind of stuff. Again, not aimed at me, but I think for who it is aimed at, it is brilliant. So for that alone, and for the theming in that indoor section, I'm going to keep it. Right, we're halfway through this list, and I'd love to know your thoughts on the rides that I'm covering, and indeed the ones I've missed out on, so let me know in the comments down below. If you're enjoying this, hit the like button, subscribe for more. Back to the coasters then, and another one that runs in two modes, and that is the Can-Can coaster, which I went on first. I went on the traditional Can-Can coaster. It's another one of those ones like Euro-mir with a really weird slow lift hill, and this time you've got the Eiffel Tower in the centre as you go up. And then once it's done, off you go, it's in the dark. Can-Can music's obviously playing, and there's a number of sort of UV elements, there's a little bit of screens. There's not a huge amount to see, it's a very dark coaster, but it's still a lot of fun, so the normal version is getting kept. But then there's the other version. There is the Eurosat Can-Can Coastiality, or whatever they call it. I didn't have a great experience with this one. I was recommended it, I'd heard a few people say it was great. I went in, first of all, member staff wasn't the best. A bit of a language barrier, I think. Most people there spoke really good English, and that's a very privileged thing to say, to expect them to speak my language. I do try and speak German when I'm there. Sometimes that gets me in trouble because my accent's reasonably good, and then they just go full on German and I have no idea what they're saying. In any case, I went up to this woman and I said, look, you know, can I have two please? Pretty sure I said it in German. And she didn't speak English, and I figured out that she was basically saying, come back in 10 minutes. So we just sort of stood by the side and waited. Meanwhile, some other Germans came in and got served straight away and went in the queue. And I was like, oh, what? So we went and we got our tickets, €7 or whatever it was, upcharge, and went in, and then, so the way that this works is that for the most part, it's just a normal coaster run. But periodically they will dispatch a VR train into the ride system and off it goes. I say periodically, I mean like once in a blue moon, because we were standing in that queue, not moving, for a good 15 to 20 minutes. The door was open and it was freezing. And then we went in, so there was only one train's worth. It's not like there was other VR trains in front. We went in, and it's weird because you put the headset on before you get on the ride, unlike the other one that we talked about. And so you see the other people, like Carly was an old man, I was probably a woman, I have no idea. And then there's this kind of whole story, you kind of start in the theatre and you drop down below, and then there's supposed to be a guy like opening a door, but it was broken, so you just kept going, it's stuck, I can't open it, it's stuck, I can't open it. So we were standing there for ages, and then it guides you through and onto the coaster, which is kind of cleverly done, because again, you're in VR, you can't see reality at this point, but they somehow kind of show, here's where the train is, step over this, and yeah, made it in, didn't fall, any of that stuff. The train left the station, it stopped. It moved a little bit, it stopped. It moved a little bit more, it stopped. Eventually it got going, and so you're kind of in this theatre and you're flying around. Well, you're supposed to be, except my screen froze for about 30 to 40 seconds. So I could feel that I was moving, but visually nothing was happening, and then all of a sudden it caught up. So again, the VR tech in here wasn't impressed with. Really, really old graphics, like proper old school. Just not great. Don't think it was worth the $7. Probably wouldn't do it again. I'd scrap the VR and keep the normal coaster. So their newest attraction is their gameplay theatre. And we've got a version of it here in the UK, Ghostly Manor down at Alpine Park. And I experienced that earlier this year, thoroughly enjoyed it. Very well, very good system, lots of props, etc. It's basically a shoot 'em up thing. And the one here is a mix of screens and physical props. So if you don't know, basically there is a circle of vehicles that are double-sided. So whilst you're facing out, there's another group of people facing in. And you basically do 2 laps. So you do the inner circle, you do the outer circle, and obviously they rotate between the two. The version that they've got is the larger version. So instead of it being 1 vehicle in each room, it is 3 vehicles at a time. Much, much bigger diameter, obviously. But their version was entirely screen-based. And 3D screen-based as well, so you have to wear the glasses. They had an animatronic at the start, they had an animatronic at the end. Both were great, but the rest of it was just screen-based, which really, to me, just let it down. I don't think screen-based stuff is max strength. The 2 VRs were terrible. This wasn't great. Not going to scrap it because it's a new attraction, but I think the physical props version we've got in the UK is much better, so take it or leave it. Right, another dark ride that they have is right next to the Can-Can coaster, and that is Madame Freudenreich's Curiosities. Really quite well detailed. You go in, and the queue line, I think I made a comment in the video about how well kind of themed that was. You're in this kind of shop, and then you get in onto this kind of omni-mover system, and basically this old dear is looking after some dinosaurs. So there's lots of dinosaurs, there's a party, there's dinosaurs in the kitchen, like wreaking havoc and stuff. It's quite cute. It's definitely another family ride, and no surprises, it's gone in that keep pile. Right, back onto the coasters then. Matterhorn-Blitz, which is their wild mouse. Now this is it's quite a fun little ride. Basically they load 2 trains at a time, or 2 cars at a time I should say, and then you go forward into this lift. Now, Carly was a bit like, wait, why is the lift doing this and then this? If you don't know, there's a car at the top, sorry, a lift at the top, a lift at the bottom, and as they pass, they sort of do this kind of oval thing and go past each other. So that's why you do this weird swivelly thing. Doors open, out you go, a couple of drops, bunch of switchbacks because it's a wild mouse. It was good fun. I really enjoyed it. What I didn't enjoy though, it's got an onboard camera, right? I really like when rides do this and you can kind of purchase your memories of you on that coaster. Did it recently in Park Warner. Went up and said, right, photo and video, and she went, no video. Didn't even ask what my vehicle, like what number it was just no video. And they were still advertising it in the queue, so that was kind of annoying because I'd sort of intentionally played up for the camera. I thought, oh, this will be some B-roll I can put in the video. No. The ride itself though was pretty good, and definitely one I'm going to chuck in the keep pile. Right, you watch the channel long enough, you know that there is a certain type of ride that I like in the middle of the day. It's a little choo-choo train. So they do have multiple transport options here. They've got the Panorama Train. They also have 2 monorails. Now, I was tight on time, so I did not get through everything, and the monorails, unfortunately, I did not experience. But the train, I did. And I really enjoyed it. It was not the most frequent thing, though. I mean, there was more than one train on the track, you could tell that, but you could be waiting a while at a station for the next train to come along. Kind of felt like they could have got away with putting a 3rd train on, and it probably would have balanced out to be like about 5-minute waits or something. Anyway, It's a great way to see the park. It goes around a decent chunk of it. You get to see lots of it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So, and it's my post-lunchtime routine. So, unsurprisingly, it's getting kept. Right, let's get back to the coasters. And this one's kind of a family, kids, borderline coaster. Over in the Greek area, Pegasus. Actually, no, I'll probably say family because it was more forceful, not powerful, more forceful than I was expecting. Genuinely had low expectations for it. Reasonably high in terms of going up the lift hill, and then, yeah, whooshed around that course. It was great. So made a terrible joke in the vlog about how it's the easiest to maintain because it's surrounded by grease. Yeah. Anyway, I'd keep the ride. Right, back on the dark rides then, and there's one here in the Italy section, Picollo Mondo, which I'm pretty sure is just Small World. Interesting that I at first thought this was a boat ride. It's not, it's just a tracked ride with rollbacks, which you don't often see in dark rides. I mean, you get it on like the Ghost Train and stuff, but you don't normally see it anyway. It's got rollbacks. And some cute little scenes, the sort of Pavarotti type guys singing, sort of love tunnel thing. It was quite cute. Not sure I'd rush back on it again. Small queue, probably would. So I think it's good though, and I'm going to keep it. Right, speaking of good, they do have a boat ride, a proper boat ride, and actually it's a reconstruction because the first one burnt down. And well, they just rebuilt the damn thing, and it is spectacular, and that is Pirates in Batavia. So it's often compared to Pirates of the Caribbean or Fata Morgana. I struggle to rate them against each other. I enjoy all three of them. They're different but similar, and it's really good. Like, it's very well themed, very well themed actually. Projection mapping in places. There's an area where you go through a restaurant, which I ate in, nice restaurant. It's just a great ride. So yeah, I'm glad they rebuilt it, and it's definitely going in that keep pile. All right, another attraction that kind of surprised me a little bit is their cars ride. So it's the Silverstone racetrack. It surprised me because I made a comment in America that, oh, these guys have still got petrol versions, like the rest of the world has moved to electric, which by and large is true. Europa's not. Europa-Park is also still petrol based, so it's noisy, it's smelly, but it's a lot of fun. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't drive because, well, if you watched the video, I left my driving license here. Not that you need it for the ride, of course, but you know, just to kind of rub it in. I sort of said to Carly, well, you're driving this weekend, so you're in charge. Still enjoyed the ride though. It's getting kept. I've got another weird one though. They've got this sleigh ride Snowflake. It's Christmas themed. You're sitting in a sleigh, you're going through. I mean, the theming's all right. I made a joke about, there's a guy at the end, and I said, oh, even Santa, it's so cold, even Santa Claus is blue. Apparently he's not Santa Claus, he's somebody else. Clearly not somebody I know, recognise. It was all right. It wasn't brilliant, and it felt like they had too many cars on the track because it backed up massively towards the end, so you didn't even complete the circuit and you were already stuck behind another vehicle waiting for them to move on. So, like, you know, it's not an omni-mover, it's literally these cars going around. That wasn't great. Personally, wasn't a huge fan of it. I know some people will love it because it's like an all year round Christmassy thing. I'm gonna scrap it. Right, another dark ride. And I'm annoyed at this one. Well, not the ride itself, because the ride itself is good. So they've got a ride called Snorri Touren, and it is based on the mascot for Rulantica. And everybody raves about Rulantica. Oh, Chris, when you go over there, you have to do Rulantica, best water park, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was shut the week I was there for maintenance, typically. So I've not been to Rulantica, but I did go on Snorri Touren, and it's a lovely ride. Beautiful ride, very well themed, great animatronics and stuff, very colourful. And there's a section towards the end where they put the vehicle into this kind of domed area, and you know, off you go doing some stuff, and then back on the track and away you go. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't have a huge wait when I was there, so that was fantastic, and it's getting kept. Right, they've got an attraction here, another coaster that is quite rare these days. A lot of them have been removed. There's only a handful of them left, and I was told before I went that the Blackpool version is better than the Europa-Park version, and I didn't believe that because I was like, well, the Blackpool version is small, the Europa-Park version is big. It's the Swiss Bob, and everybody's right, the Blackpool version's better. The one in Europa-Park is beautifully themed, again, as you'd expect, but it's just got loads of bits where it does nothing. Just slowly goes around, and And then eventually towards the end it does, you know, the sort of helix stuff, and that bit's alright. So yeah, it was a bit of a letdown. So I'm not going to get rid of it because they are a dying breed. And I quite like them in general. This particular one, take it or leave it. Right, there's a few attractions I did not get on, right? I had 2 days in the park. I tried to cram in as much as I possibly could. The park is massive. There is definitely a lot to do. And unless it is really, really dead, you're going to need several days in that park. If I go back again, I'd like to spend more time there, or at least try and do the things I missed. One of the things I missed is the Voletarium. I was well aware of it, their flying theatre. I'm curious about it because it gets a lot of positive reviews, but based on what I've just said about, you know, the other things, Mac's screen-based technology I've found not to be the best. So I'm really curious to see what this is like. Of course, they've got a new flying theatre technology, the kind of dual loading one, that they're putting out in SeaWorld, or they have put out in SeaWorld. Pretty sure this one that they've got in their own park isn't that model, because they made a big song and dance about it at IAAPA last year. So I've not been on it. I'd love to know your thoughts. Is it actually that good, or have I been kind of misinformed? If I get back out there soon, or at some point, I will go on it. But yeah, I can't rate it. There's another little attraction here that I went on simply because it was open before the park was open. So when we got in on the first day, we got into that kind of Italy area, and they were holding people before they opened the main park. And there's a little ride, Volo da Vinci. It's a suspended monorail thing. It takes you around a small part of the park, so you don't see a huge amount of it, but it is pretty good, and you can see a reasonable section. So it was good for me because, like I say, the park wasn't open, and I got on an attraction, so happy days. But it's not one I'd rush back on again because it doesn't do much, and the sightseeing is around the kids area, so take it or leave it. Right, the next one, I kind of got it wrong because when I got in, so once I'd got past that first attraction I just mentioned, I went in, there was this kind of big tower, and at first, and it had lights on it because I was there for Christmas time. So I assumed, oh, right, this is out of action. Like if you go to Liseberg, they've got the atmosphere, and at Christmas the ride doesn't operate, it's turned into a big giant Christmas tree. So I saw these lights and I thought, oh, that's a drop tower and it's not running, blah, blah, blah. It's not, it's an observation tower, and it was running. It's called Euro Tower. So I did go on it. I took Carly on it and she doesn't like those sort of things. But anyway, we went on it. Brilliant way to see you around the park. So it's a good starting place. Like if you don't know where things are, you can kind of get up there and just browse around. So it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I just probably don't want to do every single time though, because I mean, unless I want to get up there and get some extra footage of new coasters or something. So I'll put it in take it or leave it, but it is pretty good. Right, another one that I had heard was a bit of a sleeper hit is their wooden coaster. Now, it's another example that is not manufactured by Mac themselves, and that is Wodan. Again, beautifully themed, like the queue line is fantastic, up into the station. Another thing that's really good about this park is, apart from Voltron, they have front row queues for most things. This included. So first ride I went on was front row, then went on, you can't pick a row after that though, so it was kind of middle of the train I think I got. Brilliant, absolutely bonkers. Once it goes from the top, it is just relentless and just keeps on going. The problem I had was, time of year I was there, it was freezing. It was -6, so my forehead was frozen, and Carly had a hat on, and she basically went like this the whole way around to make sure she didn't lose it. So thoroughly enjoyed it though, fantastic, and definitely going in that keep pile. There's Europa-Park, or most of it. As I say, there's still attractions I have missed out on, but as I said earlier, I'd love to know your thoughts on these because I'm sure there's things you'll agree with. There might be some you disagree with. If you've not seen my vlog from Europa-Park, I'll chuck it up here and I'll see you over there.